I cannot think about Jesus without thinking of God. Like father, like son was never more apt. And so I tend to regard them as one. This, of course, applies to any spiritual partnership, and some of us are lucky enough to have experienced it. I look upon Jesus as a man who keeps his promises and who loved mankind better than life itself. Now, many people ask, if that is true, why does he allow such terrible things to happen in the world? Now, if you tell your child not to do something, more often than not it will disobey you and possibly hurt itself. This doesn't lessen your love and concern for its welfare. It's the same with Jesus. It is not his will that has caused disasters throughout the ages, but man's disobedience and disregard. But he knows that the human race will eventually learn what is right and what is wrong, suffering in the process. This 70 years is a mere kindergarten period, during which each and every one of us must learn the lessons of this life, preparing us for the next. I don't think it's necessarily what we do or don't do that counts. It's what we become as people. And we often learn things too late to be of any use in our own particular span, which seems to be an awful waste without the eternal promise of another life in another sphere, where our efforts and learning can at last bear fruit. He doesn't punish us, we punish ourselves in various ways, especially if we have a conscience. The last 4 lines of a poem by the late Bishop William Stubbs reflects this very simply, and because of their simplicity, the impact is all the greater. They go, and I know of the future judgment, how dreadful soe'er it be, to sit alone with my conscience would be judgment enough for me. I know there must be many people listening who, like me, have suffered the shattering experience of bereavement. Almost 4 years ago, in January 1971, my beloved wife and companion of 30 years passed on. Now, I went through a period lasting about 2 months, which I can only describe as being anesthetized. I felt very little. Then suddenly it hit me. About that time, the depression in the film industry was worsening. Yet I knew that work would be the only thing to keep me sane and give me some reason for still living. Knock, and the door will open. Ask, and you shall receive. I prayed for help. Well, in March, I was offered a film, and during the next 12 months, I appeared in 11 pictures. And I've been thus employed almost non-stop ever since. Constructive work, requiring great concentration, keeping my mind occupied and leaving me tired enough at the end of each day to sink into the blessed oblivion of sleep. Manifestly an answer to prayer, manifestly a promise kept. And I know he will eventually grant me that which I long for with all my heart, reunion with my beloved Helen, because he has said, has promised all of us, that he will wipe away every tear from our eyes. There shall be no more death, no mourning, no crying, nor pain anymore. For the old bad things will pass away. Until such time, we must indeed run with patience the race that is set before us. Faith will sustain us during that journey, if we will let it. Good night, and may God's blessing be with you always.